The desert heat was still stuck in his bones. Even in Virginia's cold spring rain, Captain Jack Taylor could feel the dust behind his eyelids. He'd landed at Dulles that morning. 36 hours ago, he'd been briefing his replacement outside Fallujah. Now he was on I-95 in a borrowed pickup, duffel bag strapped in the back, his uniform jacket tossed on the passenger seat. Home. Finally, his wife's text lit up the dash. "Can't wait to have you home, dinner's waiting." Jack smiled. Then the rain got harder. Wipers squeaked over sand and bugs still clinging to the windshield. He blinked, fighting the fatigue pressing behind his eyes. A sign for the next exit flashed past. That's when the semi behind him fishtailed on the wet road. Jack didn't see it coming. Metal hit metal. The world spun. When the noise stopped, the pickup was in a shallow ditch, one wheel twisted wrong. The driver's door was crumpled in like a soda can. Steam hissed from the hood. Headlights flickered on the wet grass. Inside, Jack was slumped against the wheel. His breath rattled. Blood trickled down from a cut above his eyebrow. The seatbelt had done its job. Barely. A mile back, a rusty Chevy idled on the shoulder. Its driver, George Harlan, watched the rain beat up on his cracked windshield. He'd spent the last 6 months driving aimlessly, trying to outpace memories that never left him alone. But tonight, the old habit snapped back. George pulled the Chevy up behind the wreck, hazard lights blinking. He stepped out into the rain, gray hoodie, worn jeans, a limp in his left leg that never fully healed after Kandahar. He smelled fuel. He tasted metal and flashbacks on his tongue. George approached the pickup. Through the broken window, he saw the uniform jacket, USMC, Captain's Bars. He froze, just for a second. Sand, gunfire, the echo of shouted orders. Focus. He checked the door, jammed tight. He pressed 2 fingers to Jack's throat. Pulse, weak, but there. "Stay with me, brother," George muttered. George grabbed a crowbar from the Chevy's trunk, a leftover from odd jobs he took whenever he could hold a hammer steady enough. He wedged it under the crushed door frame and leaned his weight in. His shoulder screamed in protest. Old shrapnel, old scars, but the door gave an inch, then 2. Enough. "Come on, Captain," he grunted. He braced his knee on the mud and hauled the door open wide enough to reach in. Jack groaned, half awake, eyes flickering. "Marine," Jack rasped. George barked a short laugh. "Close enough. SEAL Team 2, back when my hair wasn't gray." Jack tried to sit up but collapsed again. "Easy." "I got you," George said. He slipped Jack's arm over his shoulder, lifted with legs that weren't as strong as they used to be. But muscle memory did what his mind couldn't. They stumbled away from the leaking truck just as a spark popped under the hood. They sank down in the grass, rain mixing with sweat and old ghosts. Jack's vision cleared enough to see the man holding him up. "You a Corpman?" Jack asked, half a joke, half delirious. "God, no," George said. "Those guys were the real heroes. I just dragged people out when it got loud." Jack coughed, winced. "Why'd you stop?" George shrugged. His hoodie clung to his shoulders like dead weight. "Couldn't drive by. Not tonight." A fire engine siren wailed somewhere in the distance, cutting through the wet dark. They sat like that until the flashing red lights bathed the ditch in color. Paramedics ran toward them. One knelt beside Jack, checking vitals, radioing for a stretcher. Another turned to George. "Sir, you need medical too?" George waved him off. "I'm good." He looked at Jack, a look that said more than 1,000 thank yous. "You're gonna get home?" George said, squeezing his shoulder once. "Tell your wife she's got a damn good Marine." Jack's eyes watered, part pain, part gratitude. "You got a name, brother?" George stood up, rain running down his lined face. "Name doesn't matter. We're all brothers." And before the paramedics could stop him, George turned and limped back toward his rusty Chevy, headlights still blinking under the rain. Jack spent the night in the ER, mild concussion, stitches, a cracked rib. By morning, he was upright, holding his wife's hand, telling her about the old SEAL who'd vanished before anyone could thank him. Some heroes stay on the news, some write books, and some drive old Chevys on empty roads, waiting for the next broken brother who needs pulling out of a ditch.